Can't hear you, Paul. You're still muted. Still muted.
Well, welcome everybody to the Paul Shuffling Show. The Shuffler. I'm your special co-host, Radical Moderate. While we're waiting for Paul to rejoin us for his show, I guess we're going to be talking about something. No, we're going to go over a year review of the disastrous Afghanistan pullout, the Biden blunder, military geniuses that they are there. General Milley. Do you know that General Milley, Milli Vanilli, played football with now known as Rachel Levine? Did you know that? Yep. They played high school football together. Can't make that stuff up, people. No. By the way, in case you don't know who Rachel Levine is, Rachel Levine used to be called Richard Levine when he played football back in the day with General Milli Vanilli. But now, an obese old man who now thinks he's a woman is in charge of the HHS, Health and Human Services. Oh, yeah. If that ain't the wrath of God, I don't know what is. Anyway. But hopefully Paul will join us back. I'm sure he's got a lot of great stuff to go over with the fall of handing Afghanistan over to the Taliban. And remember, Joe Biden said, there won't be any images of helicopters off the roof of the U.S. Embassy. Well, it was sort of true on that, but there was definitely plenty of images of people falling out of planes when they took off from the airport. But he didn't count them. They were not, according to him, they were, not worthy of living. Yeah. Other news, it looks like the courts are going to, the court is going to weigh in on the special master to weigh over Trump's documents that the FBI stole from him after they littered his floor with these alleged top secret documents. I guess it's only me entertaining you all on the Paul on the Shuffling Report. Kind of left me alone here, people. I don't know, Paul. Kind of running out of material here, and you don't want me going to my material. I'm just saying. Because we could talk about some things. Yeah, General Milli Vanilli, man. You know that guy that said he read White Fragility because he wanted to learn about his enemies? The white man, the white dude who wanted to learn about his enemies, the white man in America. Yeah, I'm not making it up. Afghanistan military parade. All right, let's play a video. Oh, I can't because he's got to share the screen. Yeah, so we can't do that. But no, he literally played football with Richard Levine. Literally, the dude's name is Dick. You can't make this stuff up, and he thinks he's a chick. I mean, sorry. If 20 years ago, if you were to write a book, a futuristic book on 2020, 2021, 2022, and the Biden administration, no one would buy it. No one would go see the movie, okay? Because they wouldn't believe it. They honestly would. I mean, seriously, there is no way anyone could believe this crap that they're pouring on us. All right, where's Paul? Trying here for you, Paul. Where's Paul? Let's see if we can raise him on Skype. Yeah, well, you know what? No, that is the actual first woman 4-star admiral. I am not making it up. That's what they called her. No, not yet. No pause yet. The first 4-star woman in the U.S. Navy goes to a man in a woman's dress. See that, ladies? It really, really is a man's world out there. You know what? Seriously, because now you can say women can do everything that men can do, including peeing standing up, because that's actually important. It really is. You guys can now write your name in the snow, or at least your initials, depending on how long your name is. Just saying. No Paul, no Sharon, no Paul. Run out of stuff here, Paul. Come on, hurry up. Eric's listening. Dude, I can't play any videos. I can't do anything, dude. So I can't even bring anybody on stage. I can't bring you on stage, dude. Sorry, we're waiting for Paul. Like, share, and subscribe to the. I've taken over. Do not adjust your dials. Do not adjust your audio. This really is. We have taken over. The radical moderate has moderately taken over the Shetland Report. Any Gio Carlin jokes? No. You don't want me to tell my joke. Dude, I am trying to hold back here because I know, I seriously am. Yeah, I did take over Kitty's show that one time. It was funny. I welcomed him back, though. I actually said, welcome back to your show, Kitty. Glad to have you back. But I behaved myself. I was good. I should have started reading from the Bible is what I should have done. That would have totally irritated him. It's true. I've taken over. So in other news, we were talking about, did you guys hear about in Canada? Any of you guys from Canada? Evidently, if you call the suicide hotline in Canada, if you call the suicide prevention hotline in Canada, I am so going to do this, so going to prank this. Okay? They will recommend you, they will give a referral to medically assisted suicide. I'm not making that up, dude. Well, we're going to find out if I'm making that up because I am definitely going to call and prank that. Yeah. No, it's true, man. These people, they had over 10,000 medically induced suicides last year. And they're going to top that record this year. And this is not for people like dying of pancreatic cancer. They're even expanding it to teenagers who are suffering from depression. I'm not making it up. This truly is a culture of death in Canada. We got to get Chris out of there, but evidently Chris, you can come. Chris can come. I've told Chris this. He can take his whole family, go down to the border, and just walk across the border no vaccine necessary. He gets all kinds of benefits because we'll just call him. His new name is Christophos, and he doesn't speak any. Wow, how'd you guys get in? Paul's not here. How'd you guys get in?
No clue. Oh, there's
Oh,
Paul.
we still can't hear you, Paul. We still can't hear you. You were coming in fine before. What happened, dude? Uh-oh. No, still can't hear you. And we lost Connie. I think I'm gonna have pizza tonight.
Well, I can't hear Paul either, but
Well, you can't hear me.
I made it. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do is go out, come back in, see if that'll work. Normally it's a connectivity thing, where maybe he previously had his mic unplugged and then plugged it back in, and then the StreamYard, when he had replugged it back in, didn't recognize it.
Oh, no.
Mike.
Before the show, he was coming in fine. We were talking, and he's like, okay, we're going live. And then he played his intro thing, and then nothing.
You got the left side of the board there. You got for the right side of the board, you have the intro that you got to play, and then when you flip to a different screen, you got to play is when you go back to the controls. I don't know if it happened.
When he comes back, you can tell him. Yeah, maybe that's what he did. He didn't switch over. I don't know. I've never done it, so maybe he didn't switch over to the sound source. So when he comes back, we'll try and talk him through it.
Yeah, it's not that. I mean, I can figure it out. I can figure it out. It's not hard at all. You know, it's easy if I can do it.
Well, either way, welcome to the Thursday edition of the Cross and Crescent Show.
Yeah, right. Making Paul all kinds of happy.
Camp Lejeune. You ever serve at Camp Lejeune, dude? 1953, 1987?
As a matter of fact, I was there in 86 or 87. I can't remember. That's
you might be able to get some money, dude.
Really? What kind of money? What are they doing?
I've been hearing radio advertisements for this whole time, but I thought that was a Marine camp.
It is a Marine camp. We went down there. I was at Fort Bragg, and we jumped in down there.
This is passed by Congress. This is passed by Congress. This is legit. Camp Lejeune families, 1953, 1987, eligible for compensation. If you served or lived at Camp Lejeune from 1953 1970, you're going to want to check eligibility for these funds. And this is passed by Congress. You'll probably get $10.
Well, what is this for? I mean,
burn pits, I think. 900,000 people have been exposed and presumably affected by the toxic water, resulting in cancer, organ failure, reproductive issues, and more.
Okay. No, we were just down there we weren't even there a week. We were probably there 4 or 5 days tops. Yeah. Plus, we're in that backwoods. We're not drinking. Okay. Well, I guess we would be drinking. They bring the potable water out, but.
Congress's new bill is expected to cover much more and will have no effect on VA disability benefits.
Well, because that's happens sometimes where you get compensated in a class action lawsuit or something like that, and then it takes away your ability to continue to receive a benefit because you've already been compensated for it, or you were compensated for it. Through the lawsuit.
And Paul's back.
Yeah, we can hear Paul. Barely, yeah. There we go.
Insane. I can't tell you how many things I've tried and done, and I can communicate through other devices, but not through StreamYard. All of this. That was just ticking me off. I want to say thank you. I tried to say thank you to everybody for joining us, but nothing seemed to be working right, and we have those days. Um,
Coming in 5 by
Thank you.
5, Paul.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I
welcome
think
back
this
to your show.
topic
Welcome
is-
back to your show.
Thank you. I think it's the topic that's, somebody out there is uncomfortable with it. Well, too bad for them. I'm back. um, it's a Christian news show, so I always start with a reading from the Word of God. And today, this just happens to be my devotions today. So we're reading Matthew 27, verses 27 to 31. Now, if you're a follower of Islam, this should shock you. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers. And they stripped him, talking about Jesus, and put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had platted a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand. And they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they spit on him. And they took the reed and smote him on the head. After they had mocked him, they took the robe off of him, put on his own clothes on him, and led him away to crucify him. The mocking of Jesus was the mocking of the one who was holy man and holy God. It was a mocking of the King of Kings. These men had no clue who he was. They may have seen and at the least had heard of the miracles he had done. It says something about them because this was easy for them. What would happen later when these mockers learn about the King of Kings in the Hebrew Scriptures that told of this day that they had partaken in? Would they move from malicious mockers or torturers to repentant servants who sought his forgiveness? Here are just a few of the passages that foretold of this mocking. This is from Psalm 35, 15 to 16. But in my adversity, they rejoiced and gathered themselves together. Yea, the abjects gathered themselves together against me. I knew it not. They did tear me and cease not. With hypocritical mockings or mockers and feasts, they gnashed upon me with their teeth. Psalm 69, verses 7 and 19 and 20. Because for your sake I have borne reproach. Shame has covered my face. You have known my reproach, and my shame and dishonor, my adversaries are all before you. Reproach has broken my heart, and I am full of heaviness. And I looked for some to take pity, but there was none. And for comforters, I found none. But Isaiah 49, 7. Thus saith the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despises, to him whom the nations abhor. To a servant of rulers, kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because the Lord that is faithful and the Holy One of Israel, he shall choose you. Isaiah 53, 3. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, and we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. It seems too much for us to comprehend that you planned this day of horror to express your love to us in such a way that we could never deny that you love us so much. You withstood it. You allowed it, knowing it was coming, knowing the very day this would happen. Dear Lord Jesus, you have such love for us that it's beyond my ability to comprehend. I know I couldn't be that kind of a loving person. So work on me, work on us, Lord. Help us to be examples of your love. In Jesus' name, amen. I was going through my devotions this morning, and I know it's for me, it's getting harder to get through that part. I look at this passage, and it just keeps hitting me. How many scriptures exist foretelling of this event? And this is the thing that makes me laugh when I run into the followers of Islam who keep saying, "Oh, somebody took his place." Really? You think the guys that were beating him over the head with a rod, with the reed that they were trying to say was, like a scepter, the guys who put the crown of thorns on him wouldn't know the guy that had the crown of thorns they stuck on his head? I mean, are you telling me they wouldn't know? They were the ones who took him. They were the ones who crucified him. You're reading along in the book of Matthew, you know that. So it just doesn't work, you followers of Islam. Read the Gospels. It doesn't work. Read the Gospels. Stop appearing foolish. Now, I have I don't have a guess, because what I wanted to do today is talk about the horrible, disgusting thing that happened last year. And I say disgusting because I don't have a better word for it. I wish I did. I can't think of anything kind to say. Again, I wish I could. So what I'm going to be talking to you about is the Hijrah to America, which is the planned botch of the Afghan withdrawal. Now, I keep saying it's planned. I will continue to say it was planned until the day I die. There are certain things that had to happen in order for this to exist. Number one, they had to get rid of a program that Trump created that would make sure if anything happened and the troops needed to withdraw, no matter where they were in the world, that the citizens would get out first. Well, no, they were supposed to withdraw, back in April. Okay, they're supposed to withdraw in May. Then they were talking about, but you know what they had to wait for? They had to kill this program off in July. I think it was July, and that program that was created by Trump to solve that problem. The idea, when you think about it, it was something that existed after Trump left, not because he didn't trust Biden, but he thought it was good for America. So in order for that mess that we saw to happen, where the citizens didn't get out, yeah. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to go to this next slide here first, and I want to get this out of the way. This is the thing that Usama says every show. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. You know what? I see that more so today in public schools across the world, but more so today in public schools in the United States than I've ever seen. If we have time, we'll get into some of that disgusting stuff, which would involve sharing, which if I have time, I'm going to share some videos from Project Veritas that will discuss to you about what's happening in public schools. And having been a public school teacher, I'm thoroughly disgusted by what I'm seeing, but I am unfortunately not surprised. All right, so I have to pull up a few things here, so just bear with me a second. And having had to close out the program and restart the computer, I had everything ready. That's the joy of doing things and getting ready and having to bounce out. Let me see if I can do this. And the joy of doing 2 or 3 things at once. And come on. Now I've got all the nice little advertisements. So forgive me, and I will let this. Can you hear the advertisement? I'm hoping no. All right. I will put this over after the advertisement. And let's see. I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute. So I make sure I have the sound button on. And here we go. Yep. The joy of doing things 3 different ways. And what happened? There it is. Okay. I want to take us back. Take a look at on the date of this. This is August 16th of 2021. Now, this is a shocking piece of material. So here we go. Turn this up so you can hear it.
Rushing back to Washington as dramatic, indelible images emerge of panic and chaos in Kabul. President Biden tonight defiant and without regret.
I stand squarely behind my decision.
The president acknowledging he was wrong about how swiftly Afghanistan would fall.
The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated.
Just last month, he dismissed a quick Taliban takeover.
The likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
While the president did not explain the U.S.'s responsibility for the current chaos, he put blame on Afghan soldiers for giving up.
American troops cannot and should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight for themselves.
Focusing on the long-term justification for the U.S. exit, not the deteriorating crisis on the ground.
The buck stops with me. I'm deeply saddened by the facts we now face.
Still, critics are accusing him of incompetence.
What we have seen is an unmitigated disaster, a stain on the reputation of the United States of America.
Before the last week's events, nearly 2/3 of Americans backed President Biden's decision to withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan by 9/11. The president today honoring the sacrifice of service members, but many veterans like Kristen Rouse want more done now to evacuate Afghans who helped the U.S.
I have received messages that are effectively goodbye messages. I'm going to die. I received one that said, if something bad happens to me, I will see you in heaven.
As eager as President Biden is to get out of Afghanistan, tonight he issued a new military threat, warning the Taliban if they attack U.S. personnel or the operation to evacuate them, he's prepared to respond with, quote, devastating force.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking.
So I want you to think about that. This was something that happened last August. It's a mess. I don't have another way to put it. It was a total mess. There's no nice way to put it.
Breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
Hold on a second. There's no nice way to put it. It was just a bloody mess. And I look at that and I wish there was another way to put it. But we brought over between these are the numbers I'm going to share, which should again blow your mind. Here we go. We brought over between 100. I mean, the low estimate is 80,000, but from what I hear, the new numbers are between 120 to 140,000 Afghans. Think about that. Now, I shared with you a report from NBC on the withdrawal. That was their report from August 16th. What I want to share with you next is something that came out in February about the report. Now, everyone, I want you to listen to how NBC plays this and what information they actually shared.
Before you do, Paul, I just want to comment on something that was overlooked. I tried to find the article, but I couldn't. I had it on my tablet, but I don't know. I lost it. But remember at the end, if you listen at the end, said that President Biden has promised fierce retaliation to anyone who attacks American soldiers, right? And he actually says at the end, and we have responded with fierce retaliation. Okay?
Yeah, it didn't happen.
No. So yeah, it did, but we killed the wrong person. Remember, we after the bombing, okay, at the airport that killed 13 Americans. We nobody got fired for this. Nobody got any kind of reprimand or anything. We fired one of these. Well, it's a new Hellfire missile, but I forgot what it's called. But it basically just fillets everything in its path. I mean,
yeah, we didn't go after the ones responsible. We didn't attack the Taliban. We didn't. That's the whole point. I mean,
well, no,
did nothing.
This guy had a visa. He worked for us. He worked for an NGO. He was an electrician. He was a volunteer, and he was just going to get water, okay, for his family, so they could go wait in line to get out, okay. And we killed this dude, okay. So that's who Biden killed, okay, one of our own guys, because he's a military genius. He is, but not only that, but they promised to help this family. They're still waiting to get out. We haven't gotten them out yet. Biden has just completely left all these people behind. And those 140,000 Afghanians, I don't think 20,000 of them were any of that were on the list. These were just people, we have no idea who it was. They were the first to get there, and we got these people that didn't earn it. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's what I wanted to point out. This whole thing was the worst disaster that anyone could possibly imagine.
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it. Unfortunately, it's nothing but an embarrassment, if you ask me. I don't have a nice way to put it. Let me pull up. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm not used to organizing things. There we go. All right, a little different. So this next clip is from NBC News. And this has to do with the Army investigation into Biden. It's horrible mistake. Horrible mistake. I say horrible mistake because this is something that nobody should ever go through. But it was an Army investigation. It was requested. And let me just play this. And the joy. I wish I could just mute every single commercial. Try that and play it and come back.
You've been wondering about the address for 70 years.
And I'm tired of commercials. Although I wouldn't mind a commercial advertisement once in a while, but here we go.
Americans and the world, and cost the lives of 13 U.S. soldiers. Now a damning new report blames the Biden administration for being slow to evacuate U.S. citizens and Afghan allies, according to an Army investigation first obtained by the Washington Post. One national security official saying an evacuation would signal we have failed. According to the report, 3 days before Kabul fell, Rear Admiral Peter Vasily, the top commander in Afghanistan, sounding alarms to acting U.S. Ambassador Ross Wilson. But another military official telling investigators the embassy needed to position for withdrawal and the ambassador didn't get it. Congress has now ordered a broader investigation.
When did the State Department start to increase the processing of those who are seeking to immigrate to the United States? Was there anyone in the White House who was holding up the processing by sending the signal saying, don't wrap this up or ramp it up?
The report also citing testimony from an Army officer who went door to door at the U.S. Embassy on August 15th, the day Kabul fell, urging staff to get ready to leave, but says some were, quote, intoxicated and cowering in rooms. The military is saying very clearly that the State Department was very slow, unwilling to recognize the urgency of evacuating the embassy.
The fundamental problem is that we decided to leave Afghanistan precipitously without a plan to get people out. And that's everybody's fault.
Tonight, dozens of Americans are still stranded in Afghanistan, along with thousands of Afghan allies, including many women protesters at risk, but not permitted by the U.S. on the flights taking people out. Ambassador Wilson was not available for comment, but the State Department says cherry-picked comments don't reflect the months of work that was already underway or what U.S. diplomats did to evacuate U.S. citizens and Afghan allies.
Now, this just disgusted me. When I saw this, I was angry. I don't have another word to describe what I felt besides anger. And I say that because there's no excuse for this behavior. There's nothing. There's no allowable this horrible thing that happened. It's just unacceptable. Now, this information that we received from this report is the most biased piece of crap that could be reported. Let me show you why. People with the same material, WION, I don't think it's in the United States. I think it's in Australia. I'll double check that later. But with this same information, wait till you hear how they responded. This is what blows my mind. Same information, same report by WION.
Hey, it's Adam from StreamYard.
Come on,
we have an exciting new
advertisements.
feature to announce called Green Room, which is now available only on the business.
All right. Joy of joys. StreamYard advertisement, and here what they did was just mute me earlier, so not cool.
Foreign Relations Committee has released a new report on Biden administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan. The report has found that as many as 9,000 Americans were left behind in Afghanistan during the disastrous withdrawal. Secretary of State Antony Blinken originally claimed that the number was closer to 100 to 150. The administration stuck to that story, despite many outlets reporting evidence to the contrary. The report reveals that State Department officials believed that between 10,000 and 15,000 Americans were in Afghanistan as late as August the 17th. And in the next 2 weeks, only 6,000 Americans were able to escape the country. The report gives an overview of what went wrong in the planning and execution of the Afghanistan pullout process. It alleged that the executive branch ignored the warning signs of a Taliban takeover and wasted away precious days of planning and evacuation. The report accuses Biden administration of not holding a senior-level interagency meeting to discuss an evacuation. Until August 14th, just hours before Kabul fell, the administration failed to formally task the State Department with the responsibility to contact risk populations, including Americans. It was only hours before the Taliban captured Kabul that the evacuation started. Key findings of the report include allegations that the Biden administration failed to do any contingency planning for worst-case scenarios. It ignored intelligence reports about the risk of an imminent Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. Dissent cables from foreign service officers on the front lines were disregarded. Bagram Air Base was abandoned based on arbitrary troop cups and political considerations. WION is now available in your country.
Anyone think that was far better news reporting than NBC? Because I know I feel that way after watching that. I was utterly disgusted to think that the other place, the other reporting was far better.
Oh, definitely. Do you know what is far better reporting than CNN, MSNBC,
anything,
NPR? Well, not just anything, but no, Al Jazeera. I'm not making that up, dude.
Oh yes, that's of reason. Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
They are top notch. Actually, they got some really good documentaries. True, they're a little left slanted, but they got some good stuff, dude. I'm like actually really impressed with Al Jazeera. But yeah, no, they're doing some really top-notch reporting on the Biden blunder. Here's another thing. This is something I find fascinating. All my friends overseas, like in New Zealand, Australia, Central Europe, my online friends, they know more about American politics and the players than pretty much most anybody in America. They're like, and I'm totally amazed. So no, all this stuff gets played really heavily over there. So they pay attention to
Yes.
Biden's blunders. Yeah. So it's,
they
it's
know more
shocking
than
and
the
telling.
Democrats, that's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, if it was Trump, Al Jazeera would be doing the same thing,
Yeah.
bashing the president of America.
Well, it's hard not to ban. I have a hard time with them not seeing what's going on. But I guess what bothers me the most here again is the difference in reporting, the lack of quality in what we used to consider a reliable source. When all of us here who are as old as we are, we used to be able to trust what we would listen to on the news. And today you cannot do that. Today we have to go to entities like Project Veritas. We have to go to entities like people who do what we're doing to find the facts and the truth. And that is, a rather unfortunate fact. I wish it was different, but that's the reality. You cannot trust the news to tell you the truth.
I used to like CNN. I remember the first Gulf War where they really took off.
Yes.
They did top-notch reporting. You know what I mean? Even before the Gulf War in Chicago, they had there was WGN afternoon news for a half an hour, and then they went to CNN for the national news for a half an hour, and they did it again at like 9 o'clock, 9 and 9:30. Okay, and then all of a sudden it took off in the Gulf War and stuff. But no, CNN used to be good. I mean, they all used to be good. And then for whatever reason, well, Trump divided them. He said, "Nope."
Well, it was before.
Well, actually, it happened before Trump. Yeah, it happened before that.
It was really apparent during. It started to become apparent during George W. But even during Clinton's time, it was starting to become apparent. But under Obama, it really took off. I don't have a better description for that.
Yeah.
Man, but,
they fawned over that, man. Dude,
yeah.
They did. And I admit, I did vote for that first time. I fell for that syrupy speech.
Guess I never fell for it because my kids asked questions, and back then, Beck was playing. He was doing he was playing for when Obama was running for president the first time. There was an interview. He did some campaigning, strangely, in Germany. McCain did the same thing. It didn't make any sense to us. But we listened to the speeches. My children listened to those speeches with me. And my youngest asked the best question after hearing them. The kid walked out of the room. You could see he was deep in thought. About 15 minutes later, he comes back and he asked the most important question. Dad, he says, Obama said he wants everybody to have a world identity card so that no one will go hungry and everybody will have a roof over their heads. Is he the Antichrist? Is he going to give us the mark of the beast? We're trying to give us the mark of the beast. And I told him I didn't believe he was the Antichrist. I said he could be an Antichrist. Anybody trying to push that would make you think. Now, when my youngest, let's see, I think he was maybe 8, 10, and knew enough to ask that. That's something. I mean, insight. And that young man still has that kind of insight, and that's where he's going. So I'm kind of excited about his work. Let me just get into the other part of why I'm doing this today. Okay, let me just pull this back up. All right. So there are whistleblower allegations. Now, I don't know how many people have heard about this. Yes?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Before you move on, I just wanted to add one thing about that Afghanistan component there.
Okay.
And we're blaming Biden for this, But Biden doesn't know what's going on.
Yes.
He's not a military guy. He has no
That's
idea.
that's why I'll say "Oh Biden" rather than Biden. Yeah.
Well, the people who knew what was going on.
I think you got sounded out. You repeat that, Eric? Hello?
You're muted. Eric, you're muted.
Eric? Oh, okay. Let me see if I can unmute him. And I can't. Mike's not connected. Okay. All right.
All right.
You might be going through the same thing I did. I think the issue is that StreamYard's been fighting. I think StreamYard is collectively fighting against us today. So for those of you who are not paying attention to the news and sometimes need, this is the reason why I do what I changed my show from Civilization Jihad Awareness to the Sutliffian Report, is because there are a lot of things that are important to cover, and it's not just, talking about the evils of Islam, which is I can do all day. But not this, and I think this job that I do, it changed. In 2020, in January 2020, I changed the name of the show to the Sutliffian Report because things were not being shared in general. And I think, again, this is as a Christian news show, it really, really bothers me that patriots in general, majority of which are Christian, are not informed. So I was trying to find a way to get this information out. And when I was doing this originally, it was through a radio broadcast on Blog Talk Radio, which Eric is also a part of, in the Global Patriot Radio Network. And I look at this stuff that came out this August, and I can talk to people about this, and they all are clueless. What are you talking about? What whistleblower allegations? So I don't know how many people heard Senator Ron Johnson, or who else was it? Senator Hawley, on their responses. And I'm going to pull that up.
Can you hear me?
Josh Hawley. Eric, you back?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just as soon as I started talking, the Queen calls.
Okay.
My granddaughter, she got hurt at the ball game tonight, and so anyway.
Okay?
Yeah, she'll be fine. She just twisted her ankle pretty bad. The thing I was going to say is the accountability by the leadership and the military leadership, all the way up to the most senior ranks. There used to be a time when people would actually take responsibility. If something went wrong, there would be somebody that would be fired, somebody that would at least have some type of consequence.
Yes.
Millie is a jackass, and the SIG commander, whoever was over there at the time, is a jackass too. And I hate to be so blunt about it, but just thinking about that just burns me to death. These guys, knowingly, and these guys, even somebody with just a small amount of knowledge about how to regress, you don't put yourself in the position of having to be on the defense if you are going to have some type of withdrawal from there. You isolate yourself from you minimize the attack. So what do? Oh, let's go downtown Kabul and extract our people from there. Who in the heck makes that type of decision?
And that's what I like about
WION.
WION points that out. NBC ignores it.
It's so ridiculous. And then what do they do with Bagram? They left Bagram in the middle of the night. Our allies didn't even know we were leaving. The jihadis get on the base, take the base over, and go. Where is the first place they go? They go directly to that detention center and let every single one of them scumbags that we had captured on the battlefield out. Every single one of them went out.
Yep. And
so now you have these people in the middle of the fight, downtown Kabul, waiting to get some payback on our service members, and nobody in the military. And this is what and I've worked at the senior ranks before. There wasn't an office. I'm not trying to make myself out bigger than I was, but I've worked with these guys who make these decisions. They are careful. They have contingency upon contingency upon contingency. This was forced upon the chain of command there by, number one, Biden, but number two, a willing and complicit leadership with its beginning with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that treasonous piece of garbage, Milley, who, oh, by the way, there's an article that came out today that outlines a perfect case to charge that guy with treason. Immediately launch an Article 32 hearing on this guy and charge him with treason for what he did with calling the Chinese military leader over there and saying, "Hey, don't worry about it. I'll call you." Who in the heck does that to their president? Your loyalties
under the Constitution. He has no authority to do that.
Well, he was going. See, that's the thing. That's why it's treasonous, and this is why people's heads. If I was Trump, the first place I would go looking for heads is I would go across Potomac and I would walk right into the Pentagon, and everybody who had a corner office in each and every single one of those sync level commanders would be vacated within 24 hours. They would be out.
Oh, they'll all be retired.
That is exactly what Dr. Gothrop said a little while ago when he was on the show. Everyone GS-15 and up has to go.
They would all be retired. They're all going to be retired.
Let them retire. Let them go. If that's the price you got to pay to get rid of that garbage, if that's the price you got to pay to get rid of garbage like that, fine. Let them retire.
Yeah.
But get rid of them because they're nothing but a poison and a cancer on this country. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to say my piece on that.
I appreciate it.
I agree with you, of course. Obviously, Eric, 100%. I'm just saying that the problem with this is that they're unless these people go to prison, there's going to be no justice. And you know what? Because they're all just going to retire. They're going to get their money. They're going to get their pension. We need to go after that. We need to take that from them. But I will point out one thing. It came out, okay, that the Taliban had stopped at the outskirts of Kabul. They had actually mentioned, because they, believe it or not, I know you don't like to think Taliban and everything that they don't have any honor. No, they actually do. And well, it's smart honor because they're like, you guys are leaving. Why should we go in there? No, we're going to let you guys. They actually said, we will stay on the outskirts of Kabul for 3 or 4 days or whatever and allow you guys to evacuate. And the guy that was in charge, okay, of that command, I think he was in Bahrain at the time where the command structure was. He said, no, that's okay. You guys can come in. You guys provide the security for us to evacuate. Who in their right minds would do that? Do you see what I'm saying? That made no sense. They were willing to stay outside of the city for 3 days while we got our people out. There would have been none of that crap. Okay, there would have, you know what I'm saying? Okay, we could have got our people out, bada bing, bada boom, and we're done. And plus, they could have negotiated for longer. Hey, we need a couple more days, and they've been perfectly willing to. Okay, all right, because they wanted us out more than they wanted us to be there. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
None of it would have been necessary if they would have extracted from Bagram. You are out in the middle of nowhere. You have hundreds, if you don't, you have kilometers of a perimeter that's wide open. It's easily defendable.
Exactly.
This is sticking your shit itself in the city.
I've yet to hear a reasonable argument for giving up Bagram. I've talked every soldier I have met, anyone I've met that has served, they have no comprehension. There's no strategic benefit to losing Bagram. In fact, this is why I keep saying it was a planned bungle. Somebody gave the directions for this failure. And that's where it's planned. This is why I say the original plan was for all citizens to leave first. They destroyed that plan. That is that was planned out. They had to get rid of the program that did that. So this is where I'm going from here. Now, with this information out, and that we've known this now for a year, we know that we've brought altogether between 120 to 140,000 Afghans to the United States. And this is because they were bringing them, believe it or not, into November. Okay, we heard about this bungle all the way into September, but how many people knew they were still doing airlifts up till November? Okay, and that's some of the stuff they're actually talking about. Now, so we've brought about 120, think about this, to 140,000 Afghans to the USA, here in the continental USA. I'm not talking about hiding them in islands or in Cuba or in Puerto Rico, or I'm talking about here within the continental USA. I'm not talking about hiding them on air bases. Again, here in the continent. Now, this is problematic. And part of the reason I say it's problematic is because of the new whistleblower allegations that make it not only problematic, but serious, serious danger. So let me pull up this next piece. This is mind-numbing. And let me see if we can get right there. I doubt it. Okay, joy of. Come on. Turn off that advertisement. Okay.
Afghan refugees. The FBI is involved, you have said in the past, your agency has said in the past, in helping to vet refugees who were brought here after the botched evacuation by this administration. I'm sure you're aware that the DoD Inspector General has said that earlier this year that there are at least 50 Afghan personnel who were brought to the United States who in fact had derogatory information, could be terrorists, could be involved in terrorist activities. 50 of them who've been brought here, released into the United States, can't now be found. That information was turned over to you. I understand DoD gave you that information, asked you to help track down these 50 individuals. Here's my question. A whistleblower has now come forward to Senator Johnson and myself and alleged that the situation is actually far graver than that. According to this whistleblower's allegations, there are 324 individuals who are evacuated from Afghanistan and allowed to enter the United States despite appearing on DoD's biometrically enabled watch list. This is a watch list that identifies folks whose biometrics have been collected and determined to be threats or potential threats to national security, including known suspected terrorists. So this whistleblower says it's a lot more than 50. It's 324. Are you aware of this? Has DoD or DHS communicated this to the FBI?
I don't know that I have the exact number. I know that there are a number of individuals through our Joint Terrorism Task Forces that we are actively trying to investigate as a result of
how many?
Again, I don't know if I can get you the number, but I will see what we can get you as a follow-up.
Of any of this nearly 400 individuals now who apparently have been brought to this country despite having some connection to terrorism, have you interviewed any of them? Have you apprehended any of them?
I know there have been a number of interviews of individuals who came, lots of interviews, frankly, of individuals who came.
So this man is now engaging in two things: lies of omission and lies of fact.
Oh yeah.
Now, why do I say this? Because number one, he is going back and he's talking about the interview process to become a refugee. So that's not what he was asked about. That's the lie of omission. He's not telling him that. He's not telling the American people that he's switching topics. And this is the FBI director, and he's going to. If you really want to believe he doesn't know how many people, he doesn't know any of this information.
Right.
That's a problem. He knows.
I mean, the
exactly
senator had, right? The senator had a number.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's no way
and the
that
FBI is going, I don't think I have that number. Jeez, that's insane. That's a man trying to hide something.
And
I watched.
It's so far worse than anything else. I'm going to put a link in the chat room. Everybody should go to this link, and I'm going to read part of this. But this is just, let me just say, it's so problematic that this information that we're struggling to get out, that they're struggling to get out, that this excuse of an executive excuse. That's I can't think of another word for him, because he does not fit the term FBI. He does not fit the term director. He might look the part. That's what we call an actor, people. He's not. He's not the. He might be playing a role, but he's not the real person. He might. He just can't fill the role. I mean, if you're looking at the Peter Principle, he's already exceeded that. So, talk about. Peter Principle. You rise to the level of your incompetence. He's so far beyond that he's purposely deceiving you and I. Now, the date for this testimony is August 4th, 2022. So I have been. I remember this date. Listening to this testimony, and it's been hitting me. This week, it's been hitting me over and over again. Last year, we were bringing 100,000 followers of Islam to the country without being vetted. This director of the FBI openly admitted that we did that. This director of the FBI did not deny that there are 320 some people who failed a basic entrance evaluation. This is the most basic. There's two basic things in that level. Two or three, I should say. Biometrics. Think about that. 50 people identified by biometrics as known terrorists that entered the United States thanks to Biden. Now, I will say Biden a lot about this, because when this failed, my big thing here that I really believe was that this entire fiasco was Obama's way of telling everybody he's in charge. Now, if people didn't pick up on that, what does this go back to? Oh, well, who was he trying to bring to the United States? And many states were refusing to accept. Does anybody remember who he was trying to bring? See, ISIS didn't. ISIS was in charge, and all of these people, a lot of them left and went to Europe. Who was he trying to get here that he wasn't being successful? The FBI director wasn't even cooperating with him.
The Syrian refugees?
That's correct. That is correct. He couldn't even get the FBI director to cooperate with him on that. That's something. National security. This is where my friend Todd Bensman said over and over and over again, and now he sees it somewhat differently. National security was never a political decision. It was an American decision. It was never a Democrat or a Republican thing. It was totally an American united front. We will fight for us. We will fight for our citizens. But as you're seeing here, this is why I say this man has no business in this position. He's beyond the Peter Principle, and he's merely playing the role. If he's going to lie to Congress, he's openly, this is an open statement of deceit. August 4th, 2022. I think that's reason enough for him to be held in contempt of Congress. All right. That's a neat reason enough for him to be censured, that he said he can make these claims that he doesn't know. And then he attempts to deceive. Yes.
Do you know if this FBI director has given the number to that senator yet?
I have not heard of a change.
No, that's what I was.
He said he'll do it. Yeah, see, he said he'll do it. So I wonder if we could write that senator and ask him.
So let me go to this article that I posted up there, and
I just want to chime in on this real quick if I could. So this is the way this works, Connie. I've watched a lot of these. I actually listen to stuff in background when I'm at work and I don't have to be on the phones. So I listen to stuff in the background. And unless when the Republicans gain control of the House and hopefully the Senate, they'll change the rules. So this is how they works. They will send them 90, 100 letters of this is what we want you to bring, the information that we want you to bring or give us. Okay? These letters go unanswered. These requests go unanswered. You get these heads of the FBI and the various departments, they come in and they say, well, you know, the FBI is a big place. I don't know what everybody's doing from day to day. I mean, they just claim ignorance, even though they should definitely know what the hell is going on in their own department. But they just claim ignorance because, like, I'm not aware of that, you know, blah, 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 whatever, okay? Now, there's two different kinds of testimony. There's testimony under oath, and there's testimony in the open, public, and forum. This kind of testimony, because it's open, okay, he's not under oath, so he can say whatever hell he wants, okay? When they do the testimony under oath, that's in a closed hearing, okay? All right? But either way, the documents that they're requesting are not provided. They do what's called the slow walk. And here's how this works, okay? Congress sends letter A, okay, for documents B. Okay, it is handled by Special Agent C. Special Agent C then fills our report, files the paperwork, sends it up the chain. Well, guess what happens? Special Agent C, who initially did that, all of a sudden either gets promoted or gets transferred, whatever, okay? They are no longer there. So then the process sort of goes in limbo, or it has to be started over again. This is how this works. It is by design. So therefore, well, you know, hey, I specifically said, Agent C, bring me these documents. Well, Agent C no longer works at this department. Do you see how this works? Okay, it is by design.
I've actually had this exact thing happen on some of the FOIAs I filed. It's word for word exact to some of the FOIAs I've filed. So it's funny because I mean I've actually had to talk to different FOIA officers and things like that. So yeah, it's a sad truth.
I also heard another thing on the FOIA too. Okay, you got to be very specific. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I mean, you got to be. I mean, you actually have to know what document you're looking for. Okay. Otherwise,
well,
say,
you can know the document. I've depending on what you're filing for, you can know the document. If you know the document, you can file. There's numbers of documents that are somewhat easy to denote.
Right.
And you can pick the documents by date and other things. The problem comes when people don't want you to have that information.
And they do the slow walk.
Yeah, the slow walk. The I forgot you. I mean, I've filed probably close to 100 to 200 FOIAs, and I would say at least 50% of them were. All of them, you get an initial response, but I'd say 50% or more, they try to hide them.
Oh,
and
so yeah. Well, here's another thing. This is just from the realm of IT people. Okay, you come to me with a complaint, or not a complaint, but a problem. Okay, there's a ticket opened up. Okay, I reach out and I try to make contact with you. Okay, I leave you a voicemail. I send you an email. That's first contact. Wait a week. Well, actually, I like to close out my ticket, so I wait a day. Next day, no, I don't like to have them sitting there. Okay, next day. Well, no, you could wait a week. You could wait a month. This is what I'm saying. I initiated contact. I have not heard back from this person. Okay, or you wouldn't. Don't even have to make the phone call. Just say you made the phone call. Who cares? Okay, but I tried to initiate contact, and in that ticket. That's what we're talking about here. That now just kind of sits there. And then again, maybe the person moves on, maybe the person gets fired, whatever. These tickets are long gone. Nobody knows nothing. You know what I'm saying?
And that's exactly it. So let me get into this. Now you can look at this. This is basically coming from a senator. It's a. Let me just read this, which I put up there. It's from Ron Johnson's Senate.gov. And this article is listed August 4th, 2022, which is the same day that this came out. On Thursday, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, ranking member of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, and U.S. Senator Josh Hawley sent a letter to the DOD Acting Inspector General Sean O'Donnell, calling for immediate investigation into new DOD whistleblower allegations into the Biden administration failed to properly vet individuals evacuated from Afghanistan. Now, understand that this is normally not a DOD responsibility. This is where things are going to get complicated. This could be DHS responsibility. It could be Secretary of State responsibility. In no way, this is the problem with having Director Chris Wray there. Okay, he's here. He's supposed to be the one responsible for the safety of the United States citizenship, and he should be included in all this information. But in no way is he the ultimate man responsible. I would say the guy in charge of DHS and DOD are the ones responsible. So this is where the whistleblower alleges. He says the Biden administration evacuated 324 individuals from Afghanistan to the United States who appeared on the DOD watch list, which includes known suspected terrorists. The White House and DOD officials directed agency personnel to cut corners and not conduct full fingerprint tests to Afghan evacuees. The whistleblower alleged that DHS staff have been authorized to delete old biometric data whenever they personally believe such information is out of date, which could compromise the integrity of existing databases and undermine national security. Wait a minute. Delete old biometric data? They personally believe such information is out of date? What are we talking about? Is the guy dead? I mean, because they don't define what that means. Yeah. Some of this information could still be used if the guy is not actually dead and is playing dead. So, yeah, that's where you have to sit there and wonder what's the real purpose in deleting it. The article continues, we write to you with concern over new allegations raised by DOD whistleblower. Information may show that Biden administration failure to vet those evacuated from Afghanistan was even worse than the public was led to believe. The following allegations demand an immediate investigation by your office. Now, this was sent to, again, the head of DOD, and I want you to think about this, Department of Defense. So this is going to the Pentagon, is one way to look at it. It's going to Homeland Security, Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. It's going to Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. And these are the ones who are actually, that's what I'm saying, you have to think about those people being responsible. And there's no way, I mean, if they kept Christopher Wray in the dark, if you're Christopher Wray, you're going to be royally pissed because that's not cool. You're making him look like the idiot. And again, that's where I say it's not cool if that's the case. But he's playing games, and it's kind of apparent he doesn't know what's going on. So here's the other thing I want to talk about with this. We're talking about the purpose. I see the ultimate purpose of this is being a Hijrah. What do I mean by a Hijrah? I'm talking about the purpose was to bring people here to the United States who are followers of Islam. Now, we hadn't seen anything like this since the attempt to bring Syrians here, and that was failed. And before that, we had the push to bring Somalians here, and that wasn't failed. It was too successful for their own good. This is an example of why it was, quote, too successful. There's a gathering of people outside a public school who are protesting that their children are not receiving halal food. Oh, but it was okay for them to eat kosher food until you decided that they had to get halal food. Well, your Sharia says it's okay. So what's the issue? The issue is they want special treatment for Islam. And that's what it's coming down to. So let's talk about the Hijrah here. This comes from this is Hadith number 2863. Kitab al-Amathal, reported by Timry. I charge you 5 of what Allah has charged me with: to assemble, to listen, to obey, to immigrate, and to wage jihad for the sake of Allah. How about these Quran verses? Surah 2, 218. Surely those who believed and those who emigrated and performed jihad. Surah 88, 72. Surely those who believed and those who emigrated and performed jihad with their money and their lives for the sake of Allah. Are you starting to hear this repetitiveness? Surah 874. For those who believed and emigrated and performed jihad. Are you thinking that the people who follow Islam have never heard these things? So my question again, we need to not be, this is where I have very little respect for George W., because he would not allow people to look into Islam as an enemy. His stuff caused this. All right. So Surah 875, and those who believed afterwards and immigrated and performed jihad with you, so those are of you. Why do you think they came? Why do you think they jumped on those planes? It wasn't just because they're looking to be safer, they're looking for a better homeland. But if they jumped on those planes to come here to the United States to support one of these verses here, some people
Catastrophe.
Yeah.
Catastrophe.
Yeah. And we're talking about 300, maybe 400 people who came, according to Senator Johnson and Senator Hawley, who came here and had already been entered into a biometric database as possible terrorists. Again, they came here for the purpose. The problem is, when you do national security, you have to be on target. You have to be protecting 100% of the time. Because the one time you miss, the one time you're wrong, yeah. The one paper I had to write that made me go vomit. I was taking an intelligence analysis class, and the big job for the class was to write a paper predicting an attack. And everything I read and saw, I mean, some people were picking out names, some people are picking out groups, some people are picking out places. I didn't do that. I picked out a type of attack, a truck attack. And as I started to write the paper, I was about 2 or 3 pages in. And I still remember sitting at the coffee shop writing this, and I had to run as I subscribed to too many news services, and a news article popped up, and it was of a truck attack, and it was extremely bloody. I'd already introduced my topic to my my advisor. This is post grad work. I can imagine what he thought. How many students do you have that are supposed to predict an attack? And as they're writing the paper, it happens. I had his ears. There's a lot of times I want to be wrong. That was one many ways I wish I was. You can still read that paper, by the way. You can go to paulsutliff.blogspot.com, look up vehicular attack, and it'll be on the side. I don't know how far back it was, 2018, 2019, somewhere's in there. All right, let's keep going. Hijrah. This is where we have to think about these followers of Islam. You can't say they aren't aware of these things. The funny thing is, all of these verses that I read to you, if you go go to an English translation, a lot of this information is not there. This comes from Usama's translation. If you go to a word for word, you probably see it. But again, if they think an average English person and a non-Muslim is going to read it, they're going to change it. That's the scary truth. Pick up Usama Dakdak's The Generous Quran. Find the facts. Find out. I will say this, he's working on a new translation right now, an updated translation. So his will be coming out, I'm hoping, late fall, early winter, maybe. So there we go. All right. So my next piece I want to share with you. This comes from Hadith. Again, we're talking about the Hijrah. This comes from Sahih Bukhari. The Prophet said, the reward of deeds depend on intentions, and every person will get the reward according to what he intends. So whoever migrated for Allah and his apostle, then his migration will be for Allah and his apostle. Whoever migrated for worldly benefits or for marrying a woman, then his migration will be for what he migrated for. Oh, so if it's for jihad, are you catching this? Let's try another one. Again, Sahih Bukhari. Prophet said the reward, deeds, and so whoever migrated for Allah and his apostles, migration will be for Allah. And this is from book 49, Hadith 13. And we have, again, Sahih Bukhari. This is book 56, Hadith 2. There is no Hijrah from Mecca to Medina after the conquest of Mecca, but jihad and good intention. And if you're called by the Muslim ruler for fighting, go forth immediately. You know, I always find this part here interesting, by the Muslim ruler. That's an implication that Muhammad is dead. Oh, so wait a minute. So, okay, so the caliph. No, they're not even trusting of a caliph. They're trusting a leader to lead into jihad. I said Ibn Umar. This is again from again Sahih Bukhari, book 64, Hadith 340. There is no migration but jihad. Migration. There is no migration but jihad. And how can we say we don't know these things are happening? How can you let people into your country that have these belief structures? If that would be putting your people into danger. If they really sincerely believe their hadith, if they sincerely believe their Quran to be factual and true, I'm not saying all Muslims have read these things, but my concern is when people have, and they still consider these things to be true, we're in trouble. We're placing ourselves at risk. Now, this piece comes from Counter-Terrorist Trends and Analysis, and this just, I read a lot of different things, and when I'm skipping to that red underlined thing, IS, Islamic State. Let me blow this up so everyone can see it quite well. All right. Islamic State, however, has explored the concept of Hijrah to attract foreign fighters. In a detailed exam of all published issues of Dabiq, which was the Islamic State's their PR thing, this article seeks to unravel aspects of Hijrah introduced by the Islamic State. Introduced by the Islamic State? No. I'll get into that. It's nothing new. They're talking like it's something new. It argues that while the Islamic State advocates the traditional Hijrah from Dar al-Harb to Dar al-Islam, the group has interpreted the application of the concept more broadly in order to widen its support base in areas of conflict. That is BS. It's nothing unusual. In fact, it's misinformation. It's historically wrong. It's a denial of historical campaigns. So I have actual records, in my possession. Anybody can get them just by being a history buff. If you're into history, you can obtain these books easily. through Amazon, whatever. You look at historical, I would say pick up some British history of India. And in there, you'll see that when one Muslim group wanted to be in charge, and another Muslim group, where they weren't necessarily friends, one Muslim group would call the other ones heretics. And one guy would say, "Hey, I'm over here. Those are you're with the heretics. It's we're gonna commit an act of jihad. You need to be with us." So they would run over, and they would all gather together, and they would commit an act of jihad on the other guys. Historically recorded over and over. In fact, the Brits talk about this when they talk about this problem, and the records of this in history are phenomenal. And here we have a counterterrorism magazine ignoring all history and putting this garbage out. This really takes me off to think, here I'm someone who studies, I'm someone who loves research. Let me just put it that way. I read a lot of stuff. Sometimes I wish I'd read less, but here we go again. I know I've shared this the last time I actually shared this presentation was February. And I tell you, this still makes me angry to think that somebody out there is putting out misinformation because they're stupid. Again, the Bible says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." This author is making people stupid for his lack of knowledge. Let's look at counter-extremism project. In a modern extremist concept, the term Hijrah has been used to describe a foreign fighter's journey from his or her country of origin to terrorist-held territories abroad. No, you idiot. It's from Dar al-Harb to Dar al-Islam. That's the way that Hijrah is supposed to go. Unless your purpose of going to Dar al-Harb is for the purpose of jihad. See, he misses that. No place does it say it. It says an individual who makes so-called hijrah to a terrorist-held territories abroad may refer to him or herself as a mujahir or mujahid, again, respectively. CEP has documented cases in which terrorist recruiters. This is nothing unusual. It's documented doctrine. And counter-extremism project gets it wrong? No, it's purposefully wrong. It ignores history. It's erroneous. All right. So I'm going to pull these just a couple of these up. I pull these up again because, I'm looking at this and I keep thinking about Afghanistan. How could we be so incredibly stupid again? I say the horrible truth is this word again. How could we be so incredibly stupid again? I wish I had another statement for it. The word horribly is again. I want that to not be the case. All right, let me pull this up. And excuse me, I've got to figure out how to get this over there. And come on. The joy of sharing things and getting them in the right spots. Try this one more time. If this will help. And it's still not coming up on the right screen. So hold on. I'm just going to share different screens. So hold on a minute. And here we go. Everybody see that? Just going to mute myself.
Sir.
All right. So here we go.
Can you turn it up?
Anyone who knows that they have the ability to migrate, go to their home country, where they originated from, where they will be open hand. People, their community and their families are ready to take them back in and stays in the lands of the Muslims. He's athim, he's sinning by remaining in that land. By the way, every single day that he stays in that land, he's sinning. You are giving your children to who? To the enemies who are going to destroy your child's mindset and thinking. There are 4,500 Muslim heritage children in care in Britain. These children are of Muslim. Keep in mind, these are Muslim children. They've been taken from their families, and their reason for this is that the child has gone through abuse and neglect, family breakdown, a parent or child's illness or disability, and lack of family support. And then they say the vast majority are removed by social services on account of harm or profound risk of harm. This child, they're saying, this child has been taken from his parents, maybe because she was forcing him to pray Salah at Fajr time.
Maybe because she was abusing him.
This child, who's Ahmed, he can be taken care of at LGBT family. The West today we have an issue of morality and dignity issue against them. For example, homosexuality. Hence why we're saying to the people, leave the UK. Because however good you are, they are more than you. They influence you. The ocean takes you.
Yeah, my thing is where are they going to go, because they're doing the same thing in America.
Wait. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I found that interesting because the way it was cut, I don't know. Dude's like, they're taken out of the family, and the dude said, maybe they're being abused. Like, you know, he's like, yeah, maybe there's legitimate reasons, but they quickly cut away from that. But here's the funny thing. That one dude who's talking about you should go if you have the ability to immigrate, you should go back to the country of origin. And yet here he is in the UK. He ain't going no place. He's like, hell no.
Right, he's still there.
He's on that socialist UK dime. I guarantee you that dude is on the dime, getting paid money by the Brits. No, seriously, I ain't got no problem. You want to go, you can go. Just here, I'll give you the plane ticket. Boom.
I mean, I look at this, and this is the stuff. He wanted. This is again. We look at again. I put this up. I did this research. And I pulled these up in February. But look at. He's encouraging a hijrah to an Islamic country, and his note. If you notice what he's saying, he's talking about them being too many, that they could be an influence. And if you look right now, France is going to be in Islam. It's the most populous French country. I mean, most populous country, I should say, in Europe for the Muslims. You go to Denmark, you go to Sweden, they're gone. They gave Syrians, anybody claiming to be Syrian, the right to become a citizen the minute they walked in the door. You could be purple, green, orange, yellow, whatever, but they gave up everything. And it's kind of shocking when you think about it. They gave up everything. I wish that wasn't true. I wish it wasn't. This next piece I'm going to share with you, I'm going to try and get it correct. It's called Mufti Q&A. And it should shock you. Again, this material I pulled up originally back in February. My purpose was to share facts and materials with you about the Hijrah, about what the Muslims actually say.
And what countries can we go to? Is moving to another country in Europe also considered Hijrah? Or does it have to be an Arabic/African country? Excuses, if you already made a video about the subject, I will look it up. Salam alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Oh, he's located in New York City.
And you feel that the Hijrah is mandatory, as some of the ulama of Islam explain, they say it's absolutely mandatory, regardless whether you can practice.
Can you turn it up, Paul?
Regardless,
it's kind of low, sir.
Your religion or not, regardless whether you're persecuted or not. Many of the ulama of Islam, they say that Hijrah leaving the lands of kufr and shirk is mandatory. Mutlaqan, absolutely. And the concept of increasing the numbers of the people of kufr and shirk, living under their banner, living under their welfare of their care, their kind treatment and care, living among these people, they say that that's haram, period. And that is something which clearly infringes al-wala wal-bara. And you can't do it. It's the view of some of the ulama of Islam. And they have proofs and evidences to support this. They say that hijrah is mandatory, regardless. Another ulama, they say hijrah is mandatory for Muslims that cannot practice the religion where they're living. Muslims who do not feel safe from the fitna, the infatuation, the test, the temptation, the lust of alcohol, of drugs, of women, of men, of sex, and these things like this. Homosexuality and lesbianism, the church bells, atheism.
The church bells! No! Not the church bells! Dude! You gotta leave! The church bells!
Too bad.
No. Okay, go. Then go. Go. Get him a plane ticket. Get out. Leave.
He's so scared of those church bells. Are the church bells going to hurt you? At least they sound pretty. I don't know what I don't consider what the loud prayers that come at odd times that might wake you up in the middle of the early morning. But yeah,
you gotta send me this video, dude, because I'm gonna clip that the church bell. But notice he's inside church bells with homosexuality, pornography, perversion, all that stuff. And the church bells, like, really, dude? Okay, I'm with you on all the other stuff, but the church, no, that's gonna do it for you, dude. Get out. Don't.
Well, again,
what city, Paul? What cities allow church bells? I haven't heard church bells
he's in
in
New York City.
decades.
He's in New York City.
Do they play them in New York City?
In New York City,
Are they allowed?
Cathedrals. Yeah, in New York City, they have cathedrals that still play them. I believe one of them, St. John the Evangelist, plays church bells. The old
So it's not
churches.
a city ordinance over there?
No. There's no.
Wow.
Yeah, but they allow some places allow mosques to have speakers. So that's at the same time going on. So you might have the fighting, of the two things: the church bells and the the prayer that they're trying to announce over the speaker. So that
actually. Real funny thing on this whole church bell thing. No, I was actually thinking about this because I remember as a kid, I grew up in a small country town, and we would know the time, okay?
Yeah.
By the sounding of the church bells.
Yeah,
okay?
that's how it was for me up in the Adirondacks.
Exactly. Okay. And now, like Connie said, I don't hear the church bells anymore. But you know what? The other day, I heard the church bells go off at 12 noon because I was outside of a church. I just happened to be outside the church. So I'm like, no. But then I started to, realize this. And I did some research. The church bells are still being played. We're just old. We don't hear them anymore because of all the noise pollution, everything going on. I mean, now there might be some cities, some ordinances.
Not in my area.
Really?
I haven't heard a church bell in decades.
I would say in my
It's
area
sad.
that it's extremely rare. In the
Really?
inner city, yeah, it's in the inner city. You hear them, but again, it's not like I only know of a few churches, and part of the reason is this: church bells are either played through one of two ways. In general, they could be played through an organ, which is
Right.
actually not technically church bells, it's chimes. Okay. The other way is actual bells. And then you have someone actually paid or trained to take care of that. And in
no,
general,
the church that I heard at, it was all automatic. They had a machine.
yeah.
But it was,
Yeah.
but-
And we don't see that. We just don't see it enough. My father would play the organ and he would play the chimes. And he would, I mean, that was just something not many people could say, hey, my dad does
I'm
that.
going to have to look it up. Well, no, so yeah, a lot of churches are not traditional church buildings anymore. They don't have the steeple. They don't have the
Yeah.
church anymore. So yeah, you would have to go to a church that is a traditional old standing building, but a lot of them are
It
like
still has a bell.
yeah, exactly. It still has a bell.
Right.
I know, yeah, you know what I mean. But that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, the church bells. Yeah, we're
And-
not hearing the church
You know,
bells.
They
again,
can make their
looking
noise.
at because he's
They
in
can
New York
make
City.
their noise, right?
Yeah, he's in New York City, so you can't tell me he's hearing a lot of it. Yes.
Oh, he's so oppressed. Poor baby.
Well, no, I want to bring up another point. Okay, they actually have, I forgot where it was, where they had dueling calls to prayer, where they would get out bigger and bigger loudspeakers. It was actually an Islamic country, and they had to put an end to it because we're talking all of a sudden you got a wall of sound now. You know, like at a concert, a heavy metal concert, and they're playing this call to prayer at 3 o'clock in the freaking morning, and they're like blasting everybody out. You know, so Mosque A would, you know, they would have a megaphone, and then Mosque B would get a sound system. Mosque A would then upgrade, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, they're like the Grateful Dead with a wall of sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they put the kibosh on that. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to just kind of rush ahead here because there's other things I really wanted to cover besides the Hijrah, but I'm not going to have enough time, so I guess that's going to be somehow in the next week. This was an article that talks about this is really it should make you think. This is Sweden. This is a new political entity, an animal. February 9, 2022. Every single member there is the member of the new political party. It's an Islamic party that's goal is to take over the whole of Sweden. Think about it. I mean, that's their goal. And when I saw that was what got me to get into this last time. And if you start looking at these articles, and it doesn't matter where Islam goes, it tries to implement Sharia. And I am, again, my problem is the ideology. It's not the people. The people who push the ideology, then I have a problem. But when you are going to, this is where, if you believe this ideology, you do not want yourself to be in a non-Muslim country because you want to destroy us. That's not my statement on it. It is your authorities' statements on it. It is your Sharia's statement on it. I'm simply quoting them when I bring these things up. Now, if you have not read Sharia, I get that. This is where I think a lot of Muslims just are Muslim simply because they were born that way. Again, my issue is with the ideology. It is not with the people, unless you're trying to implement the ideology. That's where I get concerned. This article, this is from France. Medical student killed, her ex-companion sentenced to 20 years in prison. 34-year-old Sudanese man was convicted of killing his former girlfriend with 20 stab wounds. You know why? I mean, it's because she's not Muslim enough. She converts, and she's not Muslim enough for him. I mean,
so he kills her, huh?
Yeah.
Wow,
We'll get into
Muslim crime, huh?
I will get more into this next week. I think we'll start here this second part next week. You know, there's so much going on, and we've got just enough time. Let me see if I can pull it up. I don't know how many people have seen the Project Veritas video this week. Now, as this is a Christian news show, I think every single Christian should be watching this video. So let me just see if I can find it real quick. It's an expose on a school district in California. And it is what I consider highly controversial. It is mind-numbing.
Wait, hold on. Are you talking about the latest drop from Project Veritas? That's not California. That's Connecticut.
Connecticut? I thought it was.
No, it's Connecticut, dude.
Oh yeah, that's Connecticut. I'm sorry. Okay, that's my neck of the woods somewhat. I go out to Connecticut and speak. So, yeah, I thought it was California. All right, so let me pull this up. This should blow your mind. And let me make sure.
Really fancy private school up on the Upper East Side. It's definitely a school where conservatives would not feel that. I don't hide how I feel, but I can't pretend I'm promoting it. I'm a Gen Z. Yeah. I clearly am. I can't promote all the stuff I'm doing. But when I started there,
Oh, that might be California. I haven't seen this one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's the white boys who feel like very entitled to express their opposite opinions and just push back. Well, there's a huge contingent of them that are just like horrible.
Meet Jennifer Norris, the Director of Student Activities at the 209-year-old Trinity School in New York City. The acclaimed K-12 school is private and costs nearly $60,000 a year per student. Norris met with one of our undercover journalists where she divulges, if not brags, about how her political views impact how she performs her job at Trinity, a school that prides itself, according to their website, as a place for, quote, a balanced educational program for body and soul.
Unfortunately, it's the white boys who feel like very entitled to express their opposite opinions and just push back. Well, there's a huge contingent of them that are just like horrible. And are you always going to be horrible? Or are you just going to be horrible right now? Don't know.
Is there any saving these Republican white guys?
I think they need to go. No, I think they're really awful people.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm afraid of with my white students that are rich. I'm like, do you ever have to deal with this? They're so protected by capitalism that it makes me sad.
White
They're
guy.
find some Dexters who are gonna go together.
Yeah. I just wonder how many
vigilante.
Yeah. Oh no.
Taking people out the show Dexter.
Oh yeah.
We just need some vigilante Dexters.
Oh yeah.
Here's your community of targets.
The reference to a fictional serial killer aside, the statements Norris makes regarding, quote, white male Republicans are disgusting, and she is confident in her abilities to further a secret curriculum without parents knowing about it, as she and others like her rise through the ranks at Trinity trying to influence their students' political activism in a 13 students per teacher ratio.
Like there's always groups of teachers who are like, I want to do these things, but the administration just wouldn't let us. So we've been sneaking things in the cracks.
People what now?
You know, it's like they don't, like the administration was much more conservative than most of us. Well, I'm really good friends with the associate head of school now.
Okay.
She was an English teacher.
Okay.
And then she just kind of moved her way up. She was the department chair and now she's the associate head. And so I go and talk to her all the time. And she has been amazing. Like she really cares and has the power to change things.
Yeah.
So I feel like I finally have like an in to get it.
You're an activist. That's cool. It's beautiful. Me too.
But when I started there, I had my whole life. I felt like a double agent or something.
Yeah.
It's just nice. We don't have to hide our activism outside of school. We don't have to hide who we are. Like we can bring our whole selves to work and do the important work now. So.
You're muted, Paul.
I have a problem with this concept of teachers as activists. This is the Trinity. I was trying to get the other one.
Is that a new one? I haven't seen that one.
That's a new one I didn't see. I was talking about the one where. Wow, I got to go back.
The blonde-haired dude. Yeah, the blonde-haired dude.
All right. It's the
By the
one
way,
about.
that chick, was it just me or did she have elf hair? She had elf hair. No,
I was
seriously.
trying to figure. Okay, the school I thought. This is okay. This is Connecticut. This is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. All right. So let's try this one. This is really what I wanted to get into.
So then what do you do with the Catholics? If you find out someone's Catholic,
Yep.
Teaching them how to think.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Doesn't matter what they think about it. If they think about it in a logical, progressive way, that becomes their habit.
So you kind of like gear them to think in a more liberal way.
I believe the more progressive teachers are actually more savvy about delivering a democratic message without really ever mentioning politics. It's subtle. They'll never say, oh, this is a liberal or a democratic way of doing this. You just make that the norm. This is how we handle things. It's subtle.
And that's how you get away with it?
That's how you get away with it.
And how do you make sure the parents don't find out?
They can find out, so long as you never mention the politics.
And then later down the line, you're going to vote Democrat, and you will have done a great service to our country.
Greenwich, Connecticut is one of the most beautiful and wealthy cities in the Nutmeg State. Now, what you're about to see is one assistant principal in charge of 360 students, defying state regulations, preventing Catholics or conservatives from being hired as a teacher. Meet Jeremy Boland, the assistant principal at Coscob Elementary in Greenwich, Connecticut. Boland met up with one of our undercover journalists and revealed stunning discriminatory hiring practices as well as his politicized beliefs on how his school should be run.
I can't get past the parents anymore.
What do you mean?
So the parents feel as though it's their responsibility to shape the schools, which then shape the kids. Right. So because I can't get past the parents, do I really have as much of an influence on the kids as I want? I try in my own way, but right now my job is to hire the right teachers.
Do we work for the parents or do we work for the kids?
You tell me.
We work for the kids.
So it's not about the parents.
It shouldn't be. I don't think.
Here I am holding a copy of the Coscob 2021 to 2022 handbook. Notice how Jeremy Boland, the assistant principal's name is on here, along with recently retired principal Gene Schmidt. Now, inside this handbook, we found a quote from Boland saying, quote, "Thank you for entrusting us with the care of your child," close quote. But now watch how Boland tells our undercover journalist he doesn't hire anyone who sides with parents.
Ask me as if you're interviewing. Like, what are some of the questions you would ask?
So, I'm trying to think exactly how I would. So in a meeting with a parent, you propose a plan you develop for your student to develop these reading skills and these concepts, and the parent disagrees with you. How do you handle it?
Okay, so if someone sides with the parent, then what?
You let them explain, and then you move on to the next question.
But then eventually the outcome of that.
They don't get the job.
Now watch as Boland reveals to our journalist how he uses a specific line of questioning during the interview process to help determine if someone is conservative, which plays a key role in his evaluation on whether to hire that individual or not.
How can you figure out who's conservative and who's liberal?
It comes down to the stories. So typically an interview is 30 minutes, which is not a long time. So you got to be very specific about the questions. So I've developed a set of questions that I use for almost all my interviews, and it's all leading them to tell a story.
So then what do you do with them? Like if they're applying for a job?
You interview them, and you call them in a few days and say, sorry, we moved forward with another candidate.
So like you would...
I haven't hired one yet.
And would you ever eat these?
I don't think so. It's just that stuck mindset. I need a growth mindset.
Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I think one of the questions that I might start including is something about transgender students that are protected.
Yeah.
If you end up with a student from non-binary, tell me how you approach that student. That's a new question.
So what's the correct answer to that?
You treat the student with respect, you to educate that student, they get to choose however they want to identify. I'm going to support them.
Right. And if someone gives the opposite answer and they're in support of, or they're not in support of transgender.
Yeah. So here you get somebody who's hardcore religious, hardcore conservative, they would probably say something detrimental to the fact. I don't think kids we didn't have enough knowledge to make decisions.
If people knew that you like didn't hire conservatives, though, do you think they would be pissed or like?
I'm not allowed to ask their political leaders, and they're not allowed to ask me. So it just comes down to questions. The way I've worded some of my questions, you can't really tell. All the proof is in the answer.
Right.
So that's, I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
Boland's hiring practices aren't limited to just blocking conservatives from obtaining a job. They go as far as discriminating against Catholics, too.
So have you found like that certain religions tend to be more right-wing? What do you mean?
And I'm not a huge expert on religion. Protestants in this area probably are the Catholic. It's unbelievable.
Oh, so then what do you do as a Catholic? So if you find out someone is Catholic, then what? So would you ever hire a Catholic then? I agree, but why not?
Because it's just that there's always that the human race.
You know, some of these questions, I mean, I've been through, I don't know how many interviews, and when any one of these questions could get asked, or these leading questions, they don't follow the allowed legal format. They don't follow the recommended educators interviewing techniques format. So he falls, I will say this, he falls outside the norm. Interviewing is generally done not by an individual in the education field. It is done by a committee in general. In this case, my recommendation as an educator, a retired educator, would be to fire his butt and remove his ability to perform that job. So I would actually recommend that his certification as the school administrator be revoked. I mean, it's one thing for you to...
Wouldn't that be at the state level? Wouldn't that be at the state level to remove the?
Yes. And this is where they have the ability to do this. The school district can recommend that, and I think that is what should be done. I also think because he likely has a teaching certificate, that also needs to be revoked. Because I'm just going to look at his age. I'm going to say he's probably under 55. I think that those things should be revoked. I'm sorry.
Let me just be the devil's advocate on this guy. First of all, this guy's a fool. He should have been known that he's being played. But if you look at this is multiple dates and multiple times, and it's looking like the same woman. I'm sorry, if he didn't get no action and she looks really petite, just he's probably really cute. And he's obviously a handsome man himself. But I'm sorry, if he wasn't getting any action over this, okay, I mean, he's a fool, dude. Not only that, but he's a fool for
he got a pause. I think he got a I mean, he believed he was interviewing a social justice warrior, which is what he believed.
No, these are dates. These are hunting traps. All these things are dates. This is what they do.
Yeah.
They find these guys on the dating sites and they set them up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is.
That's what they say that. Yeah. They've come out and admitted that. Yeah.
No. Okay, that's fine. I mean, but I'm sorry. This dude cannot figure out that he's being interviewed. Okay. I mean, some of these questions. She's actually interviewing him, and he's not catching it. So
dating is kind of like that. So I mean, I can guess.
well,
where
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This dude better have got some action out of the deal.
He sounds so much younger.
He's a real fool.
I would say he likely paid for the meal, and it looks like.
Oh, and he's a real fool.
Yes.
Paid for the meal. No,
Yes.
I get hired. Oh, hell no.
Well,
And
you know,
here's
here's the catch: because she's a social justice warrior, they could have gone Dutch. Is the other possibility. But he's older, so he might have had these more traditional values of being the one that pays for the date. But my bet is, they're not drinking; they have water there, so it just makes you think, or at least she has water. But those are, again, if you're he's given up. Yeah, she's probably pretty. I get that idea. My issue, again, is here we have a principal, and then people don't understand this. And when they talk about teachers, and they complain about teachers, teachers have unions because of principles like this. Teachers unions exist because you will have a principal who's never been a teacher. So think about that. You are, let's say you're in charge of let's say you're an accountant, and your boss has no idea how to add 2 + 2. But he's telling you, he's evaluating how you do your job. He can't evaluate 2 + 2 correctly. He gets it wrong sometimes. He says 5. And he's now going to evaluate your job. That's what it's like being a teacher. You get a guy who teaches gym, or who was a speech therapist, or who was a guidance counselor. Never taught a class a day in their life. They go get the school district, school administrator classes done, which is usually a master's program. And you get that certification. You're now the boss. And you're now evaluating people who have jobs you've never done. And that's one of the reasons why teachers unions exist. This is the reason why tenure was created.
Stop.
Yep.
Stop.
Yep.
I got to interject you in here. The teachers union actually promote this dude. Is this dude a member of the teachers union, or he's
No, he can't. He's not allowed to be.
Well, then he's a poor SOB. I'm just saying, because he's screwed either way. No, I'm just saying this is what the teachers unions are actually promoting. This kind of crap. Okay.
Yes, I'm not disagreeing with that. In fact, the state ones. This is where it gets interesting. The unions in, let's say, I will say in general, this is the purpose, the real reason why unions exist in education is because of idiots like this. Now, he would be a member of what's considered the administrative union, ASAR, and that's where he would be a member of. It's not. In fact, these are what we would call battling unions. The teachers union versus ASAR is a general battle, no matter where you are. Administrative, I can't think of what the other words mean, but in general, you battle with contracts. You try to get the best deal and stuff. And ASAR generally gets the best deal, of course, because they're the bosses. This guy, this is why I say he needs both his administrative certificate and he needs his teacher certificate, or if it's whatever it is that allowed him to work in a public school, needs to be removed because he's teaching right here. This is the thing people don't realize. His communication is all about teaching children a particular political ideology. We're supposed to be teaching the children this. You ready? How to use your brain. Not what to believe, not anything like that. Okay, I've told kids, if you don't, I would tell my students, if you don't believe me, go look at these sources, because I only could give them stuff that was facts. I taught history. I was required to teach the religions as part of that. So I had to teach Islam. I had to teach all these different things about religions. And I always referred directly to the sources rather than the textbook. This was, an important thing. You want to tell children, okay, you're referring to the textbook. The textbook, yeah. What if the textbook's wrong? This is the reason why you use original sources, the reason why social studies teachers push the concept of primary sources. And I can't tell you how many social studies teachers I've worked with who feel that so important that they use primary sources. They'll do everything. Almost anything they teach with primary sources. And again, that's me working in a high school. But I look at what he's doing as a flagrant violation of all that educators have taught. This is where we're seeing it more and more. And it's not the conservatives that you see doing this. Please understand that. These people...
Well, he said he doesn't hire the conservatives.
Yeah. And because the conservative wouldn't understand it's not really allowed. Now, I can easily identify conservatives in schools sometimes by what they wear on certain days. And that's there's certain groups that they wear certain colors on certain days. But again, they're not expressing their political opinions. They are usually just sitting quiet and listening and observing and sharing with others what they're seeing that's a violation of state and federal law. There are conservative Christian groups on conservative teaching groups on Facebook. I'm a member of a few of them, and it's it's interesting. I say because they're proud, they're excited, and what's interesting about all of that. If you'd seen some you have some newbies who are going to go start teaching. They're asking all sorts of questions like, what do I need to do for my first day? And there's a whole bunch of encouragement there. But again, there's not a lot about teaching. There's nothing there about teaching conservative values. That's what I find funny. In the conservative group, there is not one word ever about teaching conservative values to students. Never. It's never a discussion. There's nothing there ever about teaching political opinions to students. That person might get kicked out of the group because that would be something that one of these idiots would do. We don't consider it ethical. It's a violation of our code of ethics. In fact, in every state in the union, what he's doing is a violation of the code of ethics of educators. So this is why I say his education certificate of the state and his educator certificate and his administrator certificate need to be revoked because he will continue.
But that's the thing. Do you really think that's going to happen?
I think it's highly possible because everything is on tape.
Right, I understand that, but right now he's on administrative leave, so he's basically just extended his summer vacation. Okay, right now. He's getting paid all this time.
Well, most of them, most understand that this video was taken July 25th, and schools up here in general don't start until after Labor Day. So he's on extended leave, but it's a good possibility. Here's the other thing. Mm-hmm. Because it's September and it's September 1st and school hasn't officially started, this is where it's going to get interesting. Depending on, this is where the school district is likely to throw him under the bus and do exactly what I'm saying. It's because it's September.
Well, so here's the thing. Actually, no. If you watch the other videos, it was the first day of school. No, seriously, they have the parents are out there. James O'Keefe is interviewed. He's like, it's the first day of school, but one principal will not be returning. They laid him off on the first day of school coming back. This just happened, right? Okay. So he's not laid off, but he's on administrative leave, so he's getting his paycheck, right?
Yeah. That's they'll be I don't think he'll come back because the investigation.
Oh, he's not going to come back to that school. Yeah, no, he's not going to come back.
No, I don't think he'll come back to any school. Solely for the reason it's all on video, so he has no proof to the contrary.
Well, what I'm thinking is this: they're just going to say, "Look, okay, I'll quietly resign.
He can't.
You guys don't bother me."
Let me tell you why he can't resign.
Right.
Unless he's 55, he can't. It's not allowed.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, you're not allowed to resign.
Well,
that's what I'm
way.
saying. He did. Yeah. So there's these are the rules. He violated state ethics clauses in the words he said. He violated so many laws that, I mean, this is where HR would be looking at this. Well, in general, HR departments for schools say they're there for the principals, not for the teachers. And that's another way to look at things. They're there to attack the teachers, which is. So he's already got his HR department mad at him because now they have to oppose him.
Right.
Because in order to defend themselves, they have to get rid of him. This is where this is the school district is now facing any one of these students that in that school in a previous year who saw this video, and let's say he was one of their teachers, says so-and-so, he did this and that, it's likely he could be open for many lawsuits. And this is why the school district has to kick him out.
Oh no, he will be kicked out. He ain't returning to that school. And
no, not the school. The school district, okay. And then it gets worse.
Well,
this is where I think, this is why I think the certificate has to go too, because if he goes anyplace else, they hire based on. I mean, they have to look at your resume. If he goes any place, Connecticut's a very, very small state.
Well, no, he could go. No, what I'm saying, he could go to Washington State. He could go to California. He would love these.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If they remove the certificate, because it's going to all come back to them.
Right.
If they didn't communicate, they don't want to have to communicate this.
I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying. Here's the way I foresee this happening. They're going to let him resign, or they're going to fire him outright. Right, he's going to keep partial depending on his tenure at the district. He's going to keep partial.
It all depends on his age. So it all depends on his age. So he will get fired. That's a definite.
Either way, they'll negotiate some kind of golden parachute.
Doesn't work that way.
So the school district could say that yes, we fired him, but at the same time, he's not a nuisance lawsuit against us for wrongful termination. Blah blah. Because he could look at this video. He could say all kinds of things.
He can't present any of that. That's where they.
No. You can play this on. I was seduced. She led me on. She led the question. No, seriously, they could draw this out. Okay, no. He could draw this out and collect all kinds of money. I'm just saying, they're just going to settle it. You're fired. Go away, move out of state, and we don't want to hear from you again. You watch. That's what's going to happen, dude.
Yeah. I look at it as they'd have to cite his resume has to cite his last job. They have to look for in education. They look at your last job. They will call your last job. So there's too many things going on. The only time that doesn't happen, here's the only chance he has of getting a job. And here's the only chance, Brad, he has of getting a job. If he has a friend, which is probable, in another state, and he would hire this guy.
Yes.
Thinking nobody knows who he is. That's the only chance he has. Now, this is why I say again, the state to keep themselves out of trouble has to remove his state certifications.
I'm sorry, Paul. I completely disagree with you on this. Because, no. This is not the way reality works. The way reality works is this. He is part of this woke political movement. There are school districts in Washington State, in Oregon. They would love to have this teacher. They would welcome him with open arms. Yes, we can't hire them conservatives. I am not making this up. Okay.
Well, I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
It's the
Uh-huh.
it's the issue. I'm not I'm not denying that. It's the issue. I mean, you can have those conservative. The issue is that he's violated he's violated hiring practice laws.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that are. I mean, it's not just laws for educators. He's hired law. He's violated laws. He's openly admitted it, and that's where again. So what? He's saying these things in a honey trap type thing. It doesn't matter, and this is that reason alone is yeah.
It shouldn't matter. What I'm saying is it's all going to be settled. They want this to go away.
Well, in general,
how
what they
can
do
this
to
go
teachers-
away?
Yeah.
How can
Yeah,
this
when
go
they-
away?
Okay, so
Get
here's
out,
what they
please.
normally do to
Go to another
to
state.
principals.
That's fine. You keep your certificate. We won't fight it. You just go away. In other words, what I'm saying is if he fights
the go away
no.
the go away for principals in general is this: when you're a bad principal in general, you get promoted to work in central office, and then nobody hears about you for a while because you're doing slightly different than secretarial work. You're coordinating something, and that's how you get pushed to. And so you disappear for a few years, and that's what you're doing. That's the kind of job he may end up doing. And here's the catch: if he only has, there's 2 certificates that you need when you get your he's a school administrator, so he has a school administrator certification. The only thing that could save him is if he also has the school district administrator certificate. Those are 2 different things. So there's nothing saying that he doesn't have that, and he could see, and his salvation could be if he has that. He's not serving in that role, so they couldn't revoke it. So that's the only chance he has. And that, I mean, again, they could move him downtown someplace. I mean, for people.
No, they're not going to move him downtown. They're going to fire him. He's going to go to another state where he's going to be welcomed at. It's going to be a cush job, okay, whatever. They're going to reward him and promote him for this. I'm just telling you how this shit works. Sorry for the swear word. But no. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. This school district wants this to go away. Period. How do you make it go away? Okay, well, accept your resignation. You keep your teaching certificates. You don't fight us over this, and you go away. Okay, you move out of state. Excuse me. It's that simple. That's the way this is going to play out. Because also, there's other things. What if he does say? What if he says, "Hey, listen, I got plenty of dirt on all you other people." Does he got a blackmail file? Does he got dirt? You know what I mean? I mean, you don't know. There's a bunch of unknowns there. I'm telling you this right now. They want this to go away. They're going to fire him. He's going to go to another state. We're never going to hear from him again. And that's going to be that, dude. You know, keep
the only catch that could cause any difficulties that I see in this case is if this. I mean, I don't. Every educator by law has to get an FBI background check. And if this I mean, I don't see anything here that would ding the FBI, but I wouldn't be surprised if it shows up on.
Oh no, they're gonna his next school assignment. They're gonna know about this.
Yeah, I'm not
matter to them.
But the district. He has to get, no matter where he goes, he has to get a new state certificate to work. If he goes in another state, you can't
no problem.
Maybe it's more difficult than you think. It's sometimes if you have the right friends in the right places, it may be easier. But in general, the way they've changed the system, it's not as simple. And it's
trust me, this dude is going to have all the right friends. Hell, we might even see him as an MSNBC correspondent on the evil.
Well, I'm more likely to believe that part. Yeah. I think that's where he'll end up working for CNN or MSNBC, especially MSNBC, because he's making statements against Catholicism. And just like MSNBC hires Muslims to make comments against Jews, Yeah. We know that because they hire the Al Jazeera people.
Either way, I'm just going to end it on this. There's a
Yeah.
two-tier justice system. Okay, liberals get away with everything. They protect their own, where we turn on our own now for mundane reasons. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Rad.
All right.
So everybody, I would say keep informed. Watch Project Veritas's, especially parents out there. I want you to watch Project Veritas's expose on what the secrets they're keeping from you about and that are being, how they're influencing your children. I couldn't have told James O'Keefe to pick a better topic. Having seen some of these things up front, personal, done what I could to change some of them. I'm glad I'm somewhat out of that loop, but it's going to be quite an interesting ride because this is, we're at part 2. I think this is going to be, I mean, the hint was when this first started coming out that there were many parts to this series. And if you look at this, the truth is it's not political at all. What it is concern for your children and what's actually being taught versus what you're being told is taught. That to me means a lot. I don't recommend at this point public schools, and I don't because of things that are being pushed. And again, I will not blame the educators. A lot of these things that are being pushed are not even by your local school boards. This is where it gets scary. These are things that are being pushed by your state board of regents. And none of them are teachers. If there's one on the whole team, that might be it. But in general, most of them have never taught a classroom in their lives. And they're the ones deciding what your children should learn. Something to think about. God bless you all. Thank you for listening. Darcy, do you have anything you want to say? Or
Yeah, it's real quick. I got 2 things. It's to you, Rad, and whoever else is listening for the Christians. Be like Jabril and squeeze people until they read. And the other part, for the Muslims and the non-Christians, if you don't want Jabril to squeeze you, make sure you read. Yeah. God bless.
God bless everybody. See ya. All right. End the broadcast.